I'm Dr. Barry, licensed psychologist, and here we talk about true crime and psychology. Thank you so much for joining. Let's hop right into today's topic. Let's go. Welcome. Thank you all so much for being here. I hope the audio is much better. Please put ones in the chat if the audio is good. Last week, I ended up with a audio issue. Hopefully, all of that has been resolved. Welcome, welcome. Hello to Liz and Afton, Granny Debbie. Welcome, welcome. This case is a lot. Okay. And I first wanted to talk about yesterday's testimony. And Gerhardt is going to be getting on the stand any moment now. And so I will be coming back at 9 p.m. to review his testimony. So I am Eastern time. It's currently 7:15. And they should be coming back from lunch, and he should be taking the stand. So I will be a little bit behind the live stream. So we'll be able to skip breaks. I'll be able to give commentary, but we are going to do that a little bit later today. I wanted to start because the defense compared his height to the height of one of the officers. That might have actually been day 5, but I wanted to share that because and I think the defense was trying to say like that they were so tall, but I don't know what the point of this part was, but I guess that it took 3 of them to take him down. Once again, I don't know. It didn't share. Uh-oh. I could see it on my side, but y'all couldn't see it. I don't know why they decided to show this height disparity. I did think so. The one officer that took him down, who I think is like 300 pounds, and I think he's fast. I would also guess that maybe he played. I don't know for sure, but he seemed really fast and he might have played Division I football as well. But this officer talked about being a defensive lineman and that he is fast. And it did take 3 of them. The defense lawyer tried to, I guess, question why his client didn't make it to, because they say they tackled him before he got to the side of the road or to the grassy area. But maybe he was shocked to see them, and maybe he just kind of looked, and as he was going, that one officer got him really fast. So I didn't know exactly what that was about. But I don't know if this was to garner sympathy for his client. I don't know what the point of that part was, but that was the thing that happened. Okay. So yesterday we start with his internet history, and he was on subreddit. There were a whole bunch of subreddits about wife, why did you do it? I did a horrible thing after infidelity, fell out of love with wife after infidelity, surviving infidelity, just found out she cheated on me. That was a Reddit search. And most of these searches were between December 24th and 25th. There was also a search for can't have physical relationship with wife after infidelity. And somebody asked about, so I personally wondered, and I don't know if he's going to bring it up in his testimony or not, but I don't know if he had difficulty with, and none of this justifies what he did. Okay. We are just here trying to understand what we're watching. And we get to be real nosy because his search history is coming in. So I was personally, if he had performance issues after he found out about the emotional affair. In my prior video, when I talked about the emotional affair, I do understand that there are messages missing, and Arielle could have. She came across credible. And I think if she was engaging in sexting or if she was doing anything like that, I think she would have admitted it. And the messages that we saw, it sounded like a very close friendship, pretty too close for them to have both been married. From my own personal opinion, no judgment. We listen, we don't judge. but I think her husband had an issue with it and she was willing to make adjustments. I don't think it was ever going to be enough. And some people ask, why didn't he just get a divorce? Well, I thought it was interesting that he pulled up the documents from his first divorce. And it looked like to me it was the financial aspect of the first divorce. I don't, because they didn't show all of it. So we're hearing the exhibits being pulled up, but we aren't seeing exactly what everything is. But they pull up that information and we are able to see and hear that. He searched the word Darvo. And I wonder if the state is going to ask him if he is Darvoing us right now. Darvo is deny, attack, reverse victim, and offender. And that's why therapy terms, especially if somebody has narcissistic traits, I'm not saying he has them. I've never met him. I can't say that. But individuals with narcissistic traits, if they start learning therapy terms, they can sometimes use them in a very harmful way. And I don't think he was willing to admit the harm he was causing after he found out about the affair. And during my last video, I kind of tried to talk about toxic traits or toxic, unsafe emotional environments that can happen where the betrayed then becomes the person inflicting emotional harm. And based on Arielle's testimony, it looked like that is what happened. That was based on what I saw. Yeah, Lisa, he searched Darvo 3 times. He went back to the subreddit on Darvo 3 times. But I think he felt like he was the victim. And like when she was denying, like I don't, and I, but to me, I didn't hear that she was minimizing it to him, or maybe I don't know. Like we don't know what their conversation was, and maybe she was saying like, I'm not, I haven't fallen, like I'm not in love. I don't want to be with Jeff. I don't. I want to make this work. Like I don't know what was happening in those conversations, but for him to search Darvo and then to do Darvo to us. That's how I feel. Okay. That's my feeling about this is this whole thing. And I think when he gets on the stand, so Gerhardt is going to be taking the stand today. Court TV, Law and Crime, they said it was going to be around 7:15 p.m. Eastern. I will be going live again at 9 p.m. to stream and react to his testimony for the first time. I have to put my kiddo to bed. Okay. So I have to put my little person to bed. But after that, I will be available to stream this. I am going to be talking about the son's testimony. Y'all have been liking reactions versus watching clips. So I am going to be talking about the son's testimony today. We are currently talking through the internet searches, the things that came back with the technology and like with the technology expert. He had looked at multiple books, including Not Just Friends, Let Them Theory by Mel Robbins. And I didn't really love, I've heard a lot of negative feedback about Mel Robbins' book, Let Them, because it's kind of just like, just let it go, just like don't let it bother you, but doesn't give a lot of practical steps for how to do it. I personally have not read the book, but a lot of the therapists that I follow on social media, a lot of people have had critical feedback about that particular book. But it was obviously not helpful for him. He did not let her live. It seemed like he did not want her to be happy, and he was not moving on from what happened based on what he's charged with. So the thing that they fought about, so I did watch because there was a hearing that aired. I think it was on Monday. There was a hearing about evidence because the defense felt the search was overbroad because one of the things that came back in the search warrant, like based on the search and with the digital evidence, it included separate or separate in the source code, but it wasn't in the actual message. And that was the digital recorder. So there was like a recorder let me see my notes, what I called it, a hidden voice recorder, a secret recording device. He purchased that, and that was mailed to his home, and he was likely planning, or he used it to record her conversations, maybe while he was at work, or when he thought she might try to talk with Jeff or something. I think that's why he was doing that. If you are so not trusting of your spouse that you have to get a recording device, please get a divorce, in my personal opinion. Please. Yeah, like it's done. Like, trust is just not going to be there. Getting a secret recording device, unless you're trying to get evidence for the divorce, okay, see if that's legal in your state. Hire a PI. I don't know. But things aren't good if you're doing those types of things. I wonder what's going to come out in his testimony, because I think he's going to portray things in a very different way. He's also trying to not be convicted of a crime. He is. And so I think his version is going to make him out to be the victim. I think his version is going to allege that Arielle was aggressive towards him, when none of the physical evidence points to that. In my opinion, but this is based on what the state has presented. The physical evidence points to the fact she was the victim in all of this. And it looks like he planned it, and he had been planning it for a while, including having a dinner reservation for later that day. And one of the psych nerds mentioned the fact that Brian Walsh also had a dinner reservation. Like, how could I possibly? And he didn't testify. But the lawyer got up and was like, he had dinner reservations. And it's like, but he had dinner reservations at a place that did not, so there was no charge if you were a no-show. Because there are some places where you prepay, or you pay like $100 or $50. There is some fee assessed if you miss your reservation. There was no fee or anything, because they were a no show to that reservation. To that reservation. If you are ever in Oahu, and you want to visit that restaurant, I did, because the owner of the restaurant, his wife, her name is, I put it in my notes. Must have been today's notes. Yes. So let me find the restaurant, because y'all know me and names, because I want to say it was called Tepe. Let me see. Maybe no, must not be that, but it's TE. I could be wrong, and maybe it just didn't come over here. But they are award winning. Like, it sounds like it's a really good restaurant. Probably would have been a really great meal, but okay. And so he also emailed Jeff's wife. So let's take a look at, I want to make sure that her email isn't on there. The live stream, I think it kind of is. So I'm just going to read it. So the defendant emailed Mrs. Miller to say, "Hi, Andrea. I'm very sorry to contact you, but I don't know what else to do. I would want you to do the same for me, even though I don't know you. Your husband, Jeff, and my wife, Arielle, that's how it has been having an inappropriate relationship that they have been deliberately hiding from us. They are coworkers. I just found out, confronted my wife with it, and she confirmed it. Again, I don't know how else to say this, but I want to know. But I would want to know, so I'm telling you. My number is," and he gives her his number, "if you would like to speak with me, or you can email me at," and he gives his email address. "My wife, Arielle's phone number is," and her email address is. "I have not reached out to Jeff. I wanted to tell you first. It seems it has been primarily on WhatsApp, and my wife has been deleting messages. But I can share with you what I have, blah, blah, blah. Since I sincerely the best." So on Court TV, it cut out a piece of it, and I can't see what's behind at the very bottom, but that was the gist of it. He emailed with he gave his phone number. He gave his wife's phone number and email address. And I I don't think Jeff or Jeff's wife I don't think they're being called at all into this trial. And I'm glad. I think they're probably glad to stay out of this whole mess. They probably are very, very glad. And Ariel had a code word for when he was around, but there was no indication that Jeff had a code word for when his wife was around. Their interactions seemed vanilla to me personally. Like that's just now would I want my husband texting some other person good morning every morning? Like would I want my husband having that level of emotional intimacy with somebody, even if it was non-sexual? Like I would probably have an issue with that, not to the point of this. Like this went way too far, and I think he took it personal, and I don't think he ever got over it, and I think it's gonna come out. I wanna see what comes out on cross-examination. I think on direct examination, he's prepared. He has a general idea of the questions. He has the story and the image in his mind that he wants to present. I'm preparing myself. There might be some tears. Like I, because I think he's going to try to come off extremely hurt, extremely broken. I think that's what he's going to try to do. I don't think he's going to acknowledge the harm he caused his wife and his family. So there was also he also searched for hikes. So he searched for hikes in Maui, and then he searched for hikes in Oahu. And with the specific hike they went in the description for the website he visited, it said this hike isn't necessarily dangerous, but much of the path is on the edge of a huge drop off. Does that make it dangerous? You decide. And so I think that's where the state is believing he was aware that this was a risky hike. And I think that's where the state thinks plan A was to push her off. I think that's what the state believes plan A was. Ariel had her spidey senses up, and I'm glad that she did, because when he wanted to take the selfie by the ledge, she was like, she's holding on. She's like, I'm not comfortable with it. She wouldn't walk all the way back to the edge. And then the whole scuffle, I mean, so she calls it the attack. So that's when the whole attack happened. I think he's going to allege that she started it. And I don't know that that's going to be credible. We will see what happens. Now, yes, he searched for secret hikes, and this was February. So February 28th, and this incident happened March 24th of 2025. So he searched easy hikes, difficult hikes, and then they ended up at Palipuka. I'm sorry if I'm saying that wrong. But that was the hike that they went on. He also looked up his in December 14th of 2024, he was looking up the documents, PDF statements related to his last divorce. Okay. So then that detective or that, forensic expert is done, and Konig's son gets up to testify, Emil. I thought the son did a phenomenal job. You could tell he was kind of nervous, understandably. It comes out during his testimony that he has not spoken to his father since that day. And a lot of details came out during that call. And we have a content warning for self threats coming from the defendant. That's what the son alleges. And so the son currently lives in Maui with his stepmother and his younger brothers. The defense once again stipulated to the identification, and he talked about receiving a call that morning from his dad over FaceTime. That the first call came at 10:42 a.m. and the son was at home. He saw his father. His father was wearing sunglasses and a shirt. And his dad said something to the effect of he wasn't going to make it back to Maui and to take good care of the younger kids. The son also alleges that the father told him Ari had been cheating on him and that he tried to kill her. That is the most important part of that testimony. And the defense really tries to attack his credibility. I personally thought, because the defense lawyer has been a bit of a, like, very aggressive. And the defense lawyer, I think, could have been harder. But to me, the defense is gonna do what the defense does. I didn't feel the way I felt when, um, Corey Richins' team was going after Carmen, where it just felt like bullying. It felt unfair. So, the dad's lawyer did try to attack that version of the story because it includes some facts that are really bad for the dad's case. Um, the son goes on to say that the father said he was going to jump off the cliff and the son told him not to. And that had to be to put your child in that situation. And I think that's what Lisa and other people wanted for me to talk about. And that's very common for people with certain traits to, after they've done something, like this feels like Darvo. Like he's over here, like, I just tried to kill Ari, but she got away. And that came out a little bit later in his testimony, something to the effect of that. I tried to do this, but she got away. And now that he was just going to end it, and the son, who was I think 19 years old at the time, is left to plead with his father to live. And the father mentioned something to the effect of hanging up because he didn't want to be caught by the police. And it was very emotional testimony to watch. But not like, so there's been testimony where like I started crying, but just emotional and just heartbreaking as a mom of a son, that children should not be put in that place. And that's the position that he put his son in. And his son immediately went to Ari's parents' house. So we weren't aware that Arielle's parents live about a 1-minute walk or so from where they lived. And he went there and he told his grandparents, because that's what he considered. They're technically step grandparents, and Ari's stepfather. So it's kind of like, because when he got up to testify, I thought he was adorable. I will get into that a little bit more later. So he goes to Ari's parents' house to let them know, and they immediately book a flight to Oahu, and they're able to be with her at the hospital. And that was a lot. Let me know if y'all have any general questions. Let me know. Yes, yes. And so I'm gonna be going live at 9 p.m. to talk about his testimony. Please, no spoilers. I will be going live again to watch his testimony. I need to put my kid to bed. My kid needs to go to bed. And so, yes, yes, yes. Yes. So, um, because I don't think any child, because also 19 is technically a legal adult, but they're still like, he was still living at home. And you don't put somebody else in that situation. And I think he was doing that for sympathy and for somebody to feel sorry for me. Like if he did do it, it was going to be like, she made me, I don't know, like I feel like it was still going to be a Darvo where he's trying to be the victim in the situation when he's the one that tried to do what he did, allegedly. That's the allegation. Um uh and So he also called his birth mother. I believe her name is Jessie. He also called his mom, and he was interviewed by the police around 2 o'clock. I forgot to mention, so he had two phone calls with his dad, one at 11:42 and one at 10:42 a.m. and the other one at 11:46 a.m. they get into the second call that at 11:46 a.m. he could see his dad because it's another FaceTime call, and he can see like trees and rocks and the sky. And the father asked him if he told anyone, and the son let him know. Yes, he told Arielle's parents, and the father again said that he was going to jump, and that he was at the end of his rope, and that he had been thinking about doing something to himself for the last few months. That's what the son testified to. So then the defense gets up to do cross examination, and the defense is like, weren't they having a good day? I hate a good day. Ever since Sarah Boone, I feel like people are like, they're sending you Snapchat messages. They're sending you pictures of the hike. Like, wasn't it a good day? But the defense is just trying to do what the defense team does. It's like, how could he possibly be playing? He gave her a birthday card. If you haven't checked out Guilty Words video, so Guilty Words is a channel that analyzes the defendant's words, and they did a phenomenal job breaking down the birthday card that the defendant gave Arielle. And because it called her, like, it was like, I don't know if it was angel eyes, I don't know, like there were some interesting things. um there were some interesting things in that birthday card with hindsight, looking back from now, looking back at things. Um, yes, yes, yes. All right. And so, let me see, just going back to my notes, that the defense tried to attack the son's memory, because I think there might have been one time, because the defense wants it to be that the son assumed, like, saw, like, the dad said, "I hurt Ari," and that the son saw the cliff and assumed that the father tried to unalive her. That's what the defense tried to twist that narrative, and he was pretty definitive of like, no, like, that's what he said. I remember that. Um, the defense focused on potential bias, that, I don't know, that, like, the son wanted to stay, like, that he had traveled, because they brought up a trip that where the dad's parents, and he, like, they all went to see him do some sporting event. I don't know. I was listening, but I wasn't following. It wasn't making any sense. And that's when it came up that the son hasn't talked with his dad since the incident. So then Ariel's stepfather gets up and he said her maiden name. I don't know if anybody caught that. I really appreciate it, because I did watch the PI that was on the Corey Richins case. He called her Corey Darden. He was like, she does not deserve to, like, he just kept calling her Corey Darden. And I've sometimes tried to do that with Sarah Paulson instead of Sarah Boone, Sarah Paulson. Um uh because when people do things like this, it just stinks. And so the Ariel's stepfather, I thought his testimony came across like he was joking, but I think that's just his personality. Some of his personality came across. He seemed like a real likable guy, and he mentioned that starting in December of the year prior to the incident, he noticed a cooling of the relationship. That things, when that was when they were at private dinners, but when they were out in public, that it seemed like the defendant would be overly affectionate with her more than normal. And that's where I don't know if that was like a possessive thing. I've seen people do that sometimes, where to compensate for the real problems, they go overboard, like, oh, we're fine, like, we're so good, like, and it can come across weird. Um, uh, and let's see. Um, uh, Yeah, so I think that holiday party was January of 2025. That's where he mentioned that the defendant was going overboard to demonstrate closeness at a large family event. Um, like he was putting on a show as though everything was normal. He then talked about the incident of working from home on March 24th when his step grandson was kind of like step grand, like it was, but his because he was like step, yeah, because because it's his stepdaughter and then his stepdaughter's stepson. And so when Emil came over after the first phone call, and they booked a flight to Oahu, and they went to the hospital. And then he also mentioned that the loan was repaid in April of 2025. Judith, so Ariel's mother, they look so much alike. Arielle and her mother, they have similar mannerisms. Their behavior on the stand was very similar, in a positive way. Like, the mother had this calm that I think was similar to the calm Ariel had as well, but they just seemed very, very similar, in a positive way. She is retired and she's very close with her daughter, and she observed tension, coldness, and that things kind of started to improve after they started counseling, and that they looked happy, and that on the day of the incident, she was crocheting and listening to an audiobook. And she also made kind of a little joke about that, about like, I'm not that old, but yeah, I was crocheting and listening to an audiobook when Emil came over, and that he was shaking, crying, and very upset. The defense really wanted to hold on to that explanation because they want to make Emil seem less credible. When I think his testimony came across credible to me, it did. Nothing the defense did with his testimony had me question it. I don't know how the jury will feel, and they're really going to take the totality of everything. And with the defendant testifying too, I think it's going to be. I think they might compare that to Ariel's testimony too. How credible does he come off? And I really want to see him on cross examination. Um, we will see if they get to that today. Um, we will see. But Ariel's mother mentioned that she tried to call and text her daughter, and there was no response, and that she texted the defendant, "Is Ariel okay?" And he did not respond. And yes, yes, yes. So after her testimony, the state rested, and today, the defense called their first witness. And yes, it was Chuck. Chuck, the owner of Fete. So it's Fete. And his wife, Robin Mahey, is an award winning chef. And they probably have a fabulous restaurant. But he testified about the reservation. And then Dr. Arden, a forensic pathologist, he was on the stand for a while. And the defense keeps trying to minimize Ariel's injuries with the rock. When my focus, I don't think the rock was plan A. Plan A, like this dangerous hike, because according to Ariel's testimony, it started with him trying to push her off the cliff. That's where it started. And the fact that the defense is really trying to minimize, like, oh, that part of the scalp that was hit, that injury looks worse than it is. And the state is over here like, that the scalp, it's that injury goes down to the skull. Like the state keeps trying to be like, that's a serious injury. And they tried to attack, I don't know, the opinions of the forensic pathologist. Because like I said, because the forensic pathologist also said that she was hit maybe 2 to 3 times. That was his estimate. A lot of people have talked about the rock might have been like a lava rock that maybe, I don't know, like a lot of people have had thoughts about why the injuries weren't more severe. She also fought it. She fought very, very hard, and good for her. Um, because the state tried to mention, like, if she's moving around, like, and she's blocking things with her hand, isn't that going to impact the injuries. And we'll see what the jury thinks. I listened to the testimony. It was what it was. The state mentioned that the tip of her thumb, so her thumb was fractured. She did have a concussion, because it seemed like he tried to minimize that as well. And um, yeah, the defense, the state, there were a lot of objections. Hey, there were. Oh, when the defense didn't like a question, and I think they're going to do this on cross examination because I think that's just his style. I think the main defense attorney's style is to break up the rhythm with objections. And yes, all right. So what happened with the syringe? So they never recovered her phone, her purse, or the syringe. And so a lot of people would think, why wouldn't he just get rid of the rock? Because so I think the defense might have even said that, but I don't know that he was thinking of everything. And so her phone, and so it's my understanding those things were not recovered. That's my understanding of the evidence. All right. Yes, 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 yes. Y'all are the best. Chat, chat. All right. In my opinion, he must be in control at all times. Yes. So I don't want to give all anesthesiologists that bad because there can be dentists that are extremely controlling. Um, the investigator from the Corey Richins case, he talked about being kind of obsessive and that he needs things to be a certain way. And so there's a way to channel those things in a positive way. And then there's a way where it becomes problematic and a person can become like unsafe. And the betrayal, I don't think he recovered from it. If it had been like a physical affair, I can't. Uh, I don't. And for him, I don't know if it made it worse that it was emotional. I don't know what his testimony is going to be, but his reaction was not normal in my opinion. His reaction became what we sometimes call like post infidelity harm, where the person that was betrayed starts causing emotional harm to the spouse because they almost feel like they have to make them hurt the way that they're hurting. And it doesn't work. Um, it doesn't. In order to move forward, you either have to take some time apart, work on yourselves individually, decide if y'all can work it out. But you can't keep, like, you can't punish the other person because it'll never be enough. It will never ever be enough for, I don't know, to repair that. And so if people are going to decide to move forward, because often when there is like an emotional, like normally when something happens, there's deeper things happening in the relationship. I don't think their problem started with the communications with Mr. Miller. I don't think that's where it started. Things were likely brewing before that. This just was a catalyst that made things 10 times worse. All right. So I will be going live again in about an hour. I'm going to make sure kiddo gets to bed and I will be live again and I'm going to stream until they finish court. So for today. So I will be available if you are in another time zone that where if you're in the UK, go to bed. Unless you don't have to go to work tomorrow. But I will be staying up and watching that tonight. So I'll be live again at 9 p.m. Let me know if you have any questions. Why do you think he chose a public accident as opposed to injecting her with something in private? So that's where it would be an autopsy, because I wonder if he thought she wouldn't be recovered. Because also, if somebody falls, they're going to suspect they died of the fall. They're not going, so you might not get an autopsy if, like, they might not do toxicology if somebody is deceased from a fall. Sometimes there's aspects of the fall where if the person isn't bracing, or like sometimes there's evidence that shows the person might have been incapacitated before, but he did pick a place where most people, I think on the website it said 90% of people don't hike that trail because the trail is pretty dangerous, that most people just come up to the observation point and they just look out at it, but most people don't do the actual hike. I'm so glad those 2 women did, one of which was an ICU nurse. I'm so glad that they did. I'm so glad Arielle fought. This could have been a an unsolved case. This could have been a very, very difficult case. I'm glad that Ariel was able to testify on her birthday. I really wonder if she asked to like reclaim that day and to stand, because that was probably her first time being in the same room as him since the incident. And for her to just get up there and say it. Now, she might have testified in like I don't know if he was present at any of the if she was ever in the room with him for any of the pre-trial stuff. I don't know. But yeah. Somebody mentioned that there are warning signs at the juncture of the hike about just how dangerous it is and that people need to be safe. And so thank you for mentioning that. Yeah, and standard talk screens are not going to look for a lot of things cuz with that type of fall, they might be looking for alcohol, they might be looking, but I don't know that they'd be looking for like possibly like prescription anesthesia. I don't know what he had. I don't know. And he's gonna say he just had his work go bag. I don't believe it. I could be I don't believe it at all. I don't believe it. I could be wrong. I will see y'all again in about an hour. I hope you all enjoy the rest of your day. Be kind, don't do crimes, and I will see you all next time. Have a good one. Bye.